Good evening. Welcome back to Deb's True Crime Notebook. We have lots of stuff to give you, just to put it very plainly. Lots of testimony, interesting facts that I think you're going to want to hear. So stick around. Here we go. The 23rd witness for the state is Carroll County Sheriff Tony Ligget, who was serving as a detective during the time of the murders. Ligget expressed his desire to speak with the individual who passed by Brianne Wilbur and Riley Voorhees, noting that the suspect was male. We believe that was the bridge guy, Ligget stated. He also mentioned that he had reviewed the video from Libby's phone hundreds of times. Ligget pointed out that people reported the vehicle captured on video at the Hoosier Harvest Store, and it was backed in. And he noted that when they went to CVS to search for Allen's car, it was backed in. Allen possessed a lifetime handgun permit. Ligget reported that Allen acknowledged being on the trails on February 13th, but later altered his account. Initially, Allen claimed he was on the trail from 1:30 to 3:30, but Ligget noted that he then changed his statement to indicate he was there from noon to 1:30. He was rather indecisive about where he parked. Ligget commented on Allen's behavior. Ligget stated that they discovered Allen's .40 Sig Sauer handgun in a nightstand in the bedroom, which matched the caliber of the bullets found between Abby and Libby's bodies. Additionally, they found another .40 caliber Winchester round inside a keepsake box in a bedroom dresser, along with more ammunition labeled .40 caliber Blazer. Ligget mentioned that a blue Carhartt jacket was also discovered in the main entry closet. He stated that the firearms found during the search were sent to a lab, where the ATF traced them back to Allen, confirming they were registered to him alone. During cross-examination, Brad Rosie pointed out that Ligget served as the chief deputy at the time of Allen's arrest. Rosie noted that Ligget was campaigning for sheriff in the 2022 election, and Ligget acknowledged that becoming sheriff would come with a $50,000 salary increase. Rosie inquired whether Ligget had ever considered the potential benefits of the arrest for himself. Ligget responded that it was nothing to do with him, emphasizing that the focus was on the two young girls who had been murdered. Rosie raised concerns about the integrity of the crime scene, alleging that photographs from the scene had been leaked. Ligget mentioned that he believed the sticks found on the bodies were meant for concealment, stating, "Nobody saw them." Rosie inquired about any witness who had seen the bridge guy. He explained that the search warrant was based on a timeline indicating a man was observed on the trail, with one witness describing the bridge guy as tall and muscular. Ligget expressed understanding of witness Sarah Carbaugh's feelings of panic, saying two girls were killed. "I can understand that panic." The two discussed the prevalence of dark Ford Focus vehicles, with Ligget unsure of how many had the specific rims seen in the video. When Rosie asked if Ligget would be surprised to learn that Ford mass-produced those rims, Ligget replied no. Rosie then asked Ligget if he knew that in 2019, Indiana State Police Superintendent Doug Carter relieved the FBI of its duties regarding the case. Ligget admitted he was unaware and would be surprised by that information. Rosie noted Richard Allen was never a suspect from 2019 to 2022, to which Ligget responded that Allen got lost and fell through the cracks. Rosie pointed out that the 5-year delay would impact the memories of Allen, witnesses, and Allen's wife. "Do you believe Richard Allen acted alone in the case?" Rosie asked. "Yes," replied Ligget. Rosie then inquired if Ligget had always held the belief that Allen acted independently. Ligget affirmed yes. Rosie questioned, "Has any DNA from Richard Allen ever been found at the crime scene?" "None," Ligget responded. Next, Rosie asked whether there was any digital evidence linking Allen to the scene. Ligget confirmed there was not. "That man came forward to law enforcement 3 days after the murders," Rosie remarked. Ligget concurred. Rosie highlighted that Allen did not attempt to leave the community. Ligget noted that he was hiding in plain sight. Rosie stated that it was the bullet that ultimately led to Allen's arrest. That's what pushed over the edge, Ligget acknowledged. Rosie then mentioned witness Betsy Blair, who told police she saw a man with a boyish, attractive appearance and brown, poofy hair, describing him as being in his 20s or 30s. Her description does not match Richard Allen, Rosie commented, but it also doesn't align with the 3 girls who spotted him on the trail, Ligget countered. Exactly, Rosie agreed. Right. During a heated exchange over the timeline, Rosie accused Ligget of making up details of the story. Ligget said a lab told him that if he had a Sig Sauer or Smith & Wesson, they could match the bullet to a gun. During redirect, Carroll County Prosecutor Nick McClellan asked Ligget if Allen's memory in 2017 about the timeline was likely the most accurate. Ligget agreed. During cross-redirect, Rosie asked if it was likely Betsy Blair's 2017 memory of a man in his early 20s was the most accurate. Ligget said yes. Former Delphi Police Chief and current investigator for the Carroll County Prosecutor's Office, Steve Mullins, takes the stand again. Mullins testified that he was contacted by Sheriff Ligget on November 21, 2022, regarding Doolin's report on Allen. He discovered that Allen owned a 2006 Ford 500 and 2016 black Ford Focus. Mullins checked video footage from the Hoosier Harvest store to search for any recordings of Allen's vehicle. Additionally, he visited the CBS where Allen worked to capture an image of his license plate. Upon reviewing the footage from the Hoosier Harvest store, Mullins noted that he saw Allen's car arrive at 1:27 p.m. on February 13, 2017. He stated that it was his opinion that it was Allen's car based on facts of size, color, shape, etc. The jury was presented with frame-by-frame video evidence of the vehicle passing by the Hoosier Harvest store, although neither the license plate nor the driver is visible in the footage. Defense attorney Andrew Baldwin began the cross-examination. You were so quick to claim that Richard Allen's car was traveling west on 300 North that you misled the jury just before lunch, Baldwin argued. He introduced a transcript suggesting that Allen may have driven west on 300 North on February 17th. Baldwin accused Mullins of twisting Allen's statement into a definitive fact. We had already deduced that it was his vehicle, Mullins replied. We simply wanted him to verify that. Baldwin highlighted that Allen stated he drove through town on his usual route, which is a loop heading eastbound on 300 West. Mullins conceded that Allen acknowledged it could be a possible path. Baldwin recounted Mullins' testimony regarding the interview and Allen's route to the trails according to the deposition. Mullins questioned Allen twice about whether he took a different path to the trails. Ultimately, Allen informed Mullins that if he were heading to the park, he would go through town. Words matter, Baldwin said. Words on the stand carry weight, especially when they influence the timeline in a case like this. Mullins concurred. Allen also mentioned that he could have been driving his other car that day. Baldwin pointed out. Yes, Mullins acknowledged. You didn't disclose that to the jury, did you? Baldwin inquired. For your theory to hold, Baldwin continued, Richard Allen's vehicle would need to be at the CPS lot between 1:30 and 4, correct? Yes, Mullins confirmed. Is there anything that might challenge that? Baldwin inquired. No, Mullins replied. What about details from Betsy Blair? Does this resemble a 1965 Mercury Comet? Baldwin continued. The prosecution raised an objection, which was upheld. Were you the investigator who misplaced evidence? Baldwin pressed on. Once more, the prosecution objected, and again the objection was sustained. Mullins highlighted several characteristics that led him to believe the car in the video belonged to Allen. 1. The hatchback profile of the taillights. 2. The bumper design. 3. The distinctive black sports type rims with unique spokes. Mullins noted that the vehicle's arrival coincided with the time Allen mentioned to Doolin on October 13, 2022. Mullins drove to Allen's residence and spoke with him in the presence of the sheriff, assuring Allen that he was not under arrest. Mullins stated that he transported Allen to the police station with Allen's agreement in an unmarked vehicle. He also informed Allen of his Miranda rights. According to Mullen, Allen recounted that he visited his mother's house in Peru on February 13, 2017, leaving at 11 a.m. to retrieve his jacket before heading to the trails. Allen reportedly informed Mullen that while walking towards the Monon High Bridge, he passed 3 girls and was focused on a stock ticker on his phone. According to Mullen, Allen stated he arrived at the trails around noon and departed at 1:30 p.m. He claimed to have visited the first platform of the bridge to observe the fish. Allen allegedly mentioned to Mullen that he noticed girls near the beginning of the trail who passed him as he walked in the opposite direction toward the Monon High Bridge. Mullen noted that Allen indicated he was driving his 2016 Ford Focus. Mullen reported that Allen informed him he had been on the trails for approximately an hour. He also mentioned that Allen had told his wife he was on the trails on the day of the murders. According to Mullen, Allen claimed he was wearing a black or blue jacket, jeans, a skull cap, and military boots. Initially, Allen consented to show investigators his phone, but later changed his mind. Mullen noted that Allen became irritated and left the room. He presented Allen with a picture of the bridge guy and inquired if Allen was the individual depicted. Mullen described Allen's response as peculiar. He remarked, "If the picture was taken with the girl's camera, there was no way it could be him," said Allen. Afterwards, Mullen drove Allen home and subsequently applied for a search warrant. So let's go back and wrap this up. So it looks like from the testimony that we received from Ligget and Mullins, they are saying that Allen admitted to driving his Ford Focus that day to the trails. They have a car that looks like his Ford Focus on the Hoosier Harvest store camera. It was backed in when they went to CVS to retrieve the car of Richard Allen's. It was also backed in. Richard Allen also admitted to wearing a black or blue Carhartt jacket, jeans, and military boots. Very similar description to what Bridge Guy was wearing that day. He admits to seeing the 3 girls on the trail, and they admitted to seeing him. He was on the bridge at one point, looking at fish, according to him. He had been at his mother's house earlier that day in Peru, Indiana. I'm a bit confused about that because I'm pretty sure that in earlier testimony or in the testimony this summer, they talked about the fact that Kathy Allen said that Richard was in bed suffering from depression when she left for work, and that when she came home, he was in the same position and had not moved all day. So I'm a little bit confused about that, if she actually said that, or if someone was, misquoting, or if that actually happened. Or was he at his mom's after Kathy left, then went to the trails, then went back home and got in bed? To me, the most interesting piece of information that was uncovered today was when Richard Allen was shown a picture of Bridge Guy and was asked if he was Bridge Guy. He did not respond, "No, I'm not Bridge Guy." His response was, quote, "If the picture was taken with the girl's camera, there was no way it could be him," unquote. And that's a wrap of today's testimonies in the Richard Allen trial. We'll see you tomorrow. Get some rest, people. 3 more weeks of this. Thanks for doing all the things, guys. I really appreciate all your help, especially when you like and subscribe and ring the bell for notifications when you're sharing this. I've heard from several of you that you're sharing it with your friends who are interested in the case and sharing it in groups that you're in, and also leaving those comments. Let me know what you think about today's testimony. We'll see you tomorrow.